Hey guys, Brandon here. iPhone 14, glass only front repair. This was a local customer to us. They just broke the top glass of their iPhone 14 and they wanted it done with an original display. So how we do this, if it's just the top glass, is we use the original screen it came with, which is the absolute best way to do this repair. There's no part notification, there's no anything. So it's like it's never been fixed. No one would ever know. Apple would never know. No one would ever know that it's been repaired. So this is our opening process. We use some 99% ISO alcohol and a very thin razor blade. The 14 has a very thin bezel on it, so you have to be very careful with the bezel on the 14. It is very thin. I have to use very thin razor blades to get it out. I've sped up this a little bit. This process probably takes between 3 to 5 minutes to get the screen off safely and securely without getting any damage to your OLED, which if you do damage your OLED taking this out of the frame, then you are out quite a bit of money, because an original one on a 14, you're probably looking at like $150 or more for just the display. So be very cautious. I would definitely have a professional do this for you. We're just testing it. We've got it out. It's still good. I knew it was good, but I knew I was making a video, so I want to test to show everybody that, hey, this screen is fine, still works, no issues. We removed the 2 screws on the 2 clips to dislodge this iPhone 14 display from its housing. You have to remove the prox sensor. Pretty self-explanatory there. A couple of screws, a little bit of heat and alcohol again, and that's how I remove it. And then once that's removed, we remove the ear speaker mesh, and then the screen is ready to be refurbished. So to get to this point only takes maybe 5 minutes or so it's a pretty quick process. If you're changing the whole panel, you would just clean up the frame, new waterproof seal, and put the new panel on, switch over the prox. But I'm doing the hard way, better way. I tape down the glass, that way it comes off as one piece, kind of like a lamination, and it suctions better to remove the glass. Put this on a hot plate at about 100, 102. I think it only shows it going to 90 something, but by the time I got the glass off, I think it was at 102. I use 0.02 wire. I use very thin wire for a reason. Anything thicker than that can snatch the polarizer, cause scratches to it. It's very dangerous to use anything much thicker than that. I know the wire breaks a lot, and it's hard to get used to using wire this thin for anyone who refurbishes, but it's the best. We get an entry point here on the side corner, and then once we get in, you just kind of shimmy back and forth. Be careful not to drag any glass shards. This one was especially broken, so I had to take my time going down with the wire on this one. Took a couple minutes. I went very slow because you had a very rough glass break at the top on this one. So, and then at the very end of this, I crisscross here and I just get the wire to pull out, and that dislodges the front glass from the OLED display. And I will show the OLED here in a moment. There it is. Wow. No damage to the polarizer. Now we just need to clean it. So again, it's about 102. I had it set at 102. I think it only went to 98, but that's hot enough to get it off. I let this soak for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then when it's hot, I start taking the glue off. I rub it in a little bit. It's just 99% alcohol. That's mainly what we use for everything. It's not going to hurt an OLED screen. Don't use it on an LCD screen, but an OLED screen, it will not hurt. We use the spinning tool to remove all this glue that's on top. Once we get all the glue gone, then we would use a clean room cloth and more 99% to wipe the rest of this residue off. It comes off pretty easy if you use the 99% and what I would call a clean room cloth, but it's more like an eyeglass cloth. As long as it's an OEM screen, this comes off pretty easy. I use my finger kind of to rub off any other spots that are there. But if you're a shop and you're not doing this process, you should be. And consumers, if you'd like this done to your phone, rsphonedoctor.com. We do a very professional job, as you see. We're removing the frame here. We do a lot of extra work that other shops don't do. Most shops, if they even offer front glass only, which is probably 1% of shops, they don't remove the frame. And the reason that's important is because then your screen will get like air bubbles in it later on if we don't do it this way. It will mess up if you don't remove the frame and redo the frame. Trust me, I've been doing this a long time. Now this is the bare OLED after we remove the frame. And then we clean it as well as we possibly can so that there's no dust or spots or anything. And I also use some compressed air right before I laminate this. I use quite a bit just to make sure, hey, we get all the dust, because dust can be seen under the glass before lamination. And if you get dust specks, customers can see that. I do a lot of business to business, which are even more picky, so you really got to be cautious on dust. Then I get my glass, pull back this back layer to expose the OCA, which is the glue that goes in between the glass and the OLED. You guys can probably hear my cat wanting food. She doesn't need any, by the way. She's very well fed. This is lining it up. I manually line everything. I've been doing it a long time, so manually lining it is tough, but I can do it. That's right after it comes out of the laminator. You couldn't see, but there's a couple bubbles. So we put in this other machine to remove bubbles, like air bubbles and gaps, and it seals up the screen with the glass. Once that's done, it goes in there for 8 minutes. I use a pressure of 0.71, and that gets out all of the air bubbles. I use this for 8 minutes. Sometimes if I'm in a rush, 5 or 6 minutes, pretty much the bubbles are always gone. But I do 8 minutes generally is the rule of thumb for what I do. And then you got a beautiful screen here. We got no bubbles, we got no dust. This is the frame. And we cold press glue on a new frame. So this is an important step of the process. You want to just put cold press glue on the tip there, like the black tip edge, and that's it. You don't want to put it on the frame itself because it'll separate and you'll get bubbles and it will look awful. Trust me, I know from experience. I've been doing this a long time. 14, just stick it in the frame. Just kind of make sure it's in there good. And you can kind of feel that it's in there. You put it around the screen, push down on the bottom a little bit, make sure it's good with the glass. I kind of wipe the glue in between there so it stays sturdy at the bottom. And then we put it in this clamp. Once we got the screen in the frame, we put it in a clamp for about, I usually do 30 to 45 minutes. 45 minutes is better. That will allow the cold press glue to dry. So once it's dry, it's like cement. It's not coming off. It's a very good glue. It's the same stuff Apple uses to seal stuff up. And then we just put this clamp together, and I let it set. I usually put a timer on or something like that, just so I know. And I have multiple of these because sometimes we have to do 2 or 3 of one model within the same hour. And then we're back to the actual phone itself. This is just a waterproof seal while the screen is in the clamp. I do this seal to save me some time later. So we just kind of press it all the way around. Make sure it's on there really, really well. And then I would remove the backing, like the plastic backing, to expose the waterproof seal, which you do want to put back. We do put a new mesh piece at the top as well. A lot of shops don't do that too. They use the old dirty one. We don't. We do a brand new one that lets the ear speaker sound brand new again. So if you're having problems hearing on your phone at all, that will help. Unless your speaker's completely out, which is uncommon. Usually it's just dirty or clogged with dust and dirt. We put back the prox sensor. We clean the screen off with, actually on this part of it, I use acetone because it does a good job shining the screen really, really well. Like, because I use cold press glue for the frame, it sometimes can get on the glass a little, but the glass is not scratched in any way. It also gets off all my fingerprints. It sanitizes the phone. Makes it look brand new. And then we just, I've already got the waterproof seal on there. We're gonna connect the screen and we're gonna put the little clips back in and then seal it up, and we will test it and make sure it's all good to go. But from my years of experience doing this, I know this screen is good. I could tell. It's really difficult to know that without a ton of experience, but I just kind of know. I know if I make a mistake, I've been doing this so long. I do make mistakes sometimes. You know, I am human, but it's pretty rare. We have a really high success rate, especially with an iPhone 14 standard model, the glass only. We line this frame up, just press down the sides. We've got the waterproof seal there, so that'll make it the frame and the glass stick really well to the frame. And we do another wipe down, because I always get my fingerprints all over screens. And before we give this back to customer, we'll put a sticker over the top that keeps everything new and fresh. But now we just put the bottom 2 screws in and we're good to go. We're going to test this to make sure it's good. And once we get the bottom 2 screws in, that's pretty much it. That's your repair. So this whole process was sped up a little bit, obviously, for the video, but I didn't skip any steps. I showed every step. That is every step. The whole process for me, now I had to wait for the screen to dry, so you're talking about hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, because we let the screen dry for like 45 minutes in the frame. But as you can see, it's perfect. No issues, no spots, no lines. This is the screen that came with the device. So they're getting back their Apple original OLED. We tested the touch. It is all good to go. Another happy customer.